Saraswati Devi, Gaurani Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Śrīla Prabhupada ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki. What if we keep this here and put the book here? So, good morning everyone. Can we still say Dobry jutro? Should we say Dobry dan?
Both perhaps.
Okay, Dobry jutro, Dobry dan. So we're reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. How fortunate we are. And we're reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, Prayers of Queen Kunti. And reading verse 46, is that right? Yes, 46, okay. So this is some verses following the prayers of Queen Kunti. So let's chant. Vyāsa-ādyaiḥ īśvarehājñaiḥ.
Vyāsa-ādyaiḥ īśvarehājñaiḥ.
Vyāsa-ādyaiḥ īśvarehājñaiḥ.
Vyāsa-ādyaiḥ īśvarehājñaiḥ.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
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 prabodhito pītihāsair.
prabodhito pītihāsair.
prabodhito pītihāsair.
prabodhito pītihāsair.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
Others?
Vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
prabodhito
pītihāsair.
abudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
Vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
adbhuta-karmaṇā.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
prabodhito
prabodhito pītihāsair.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
Vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
prabodhito pītihāsair.
prabodhito pītihāsair.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
Vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
vyāsādyair īśvarehājñaiḥ.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā.
prabodhito pītihāsair.
prabodhito pītihāsair.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
together.
vyāsa-ādyaiḥ, īśvarehājñaiḥ,
vyāsādyair, īśvarehājñaiḥ,
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā,
kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā,
prabodhito pītihāsair,
prabodhito pītihāsair,
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ,
nābudhyata śucārpitaḥ.
Vyāsa-ādyaiḥ,
vyāsa-ādyaiḥ,
by great sages headed by Vyāsa.
by great sages headed by Vyāsa.
Īśvara,
Īśvara,
the Almighty God.
the Almighty God,
Itihāsaiḥ, by the will of
by the will of
jñaiḥ,
jñaiḥ,
by the learned
by the learned,
kṛṣṇena,
kṛṣṇena,
by Krishna Himself,
by Krishna Himself,
adbhuta-karmaṇā,
adbhuta-karmaṇā,
by one who performs all superhuman work,
by one who performs all superhuman work,
prabodhito,
prabodhito,
being solaced.
being solaced.
You know the word solaced means reassured or pacified, made peaceful.
It says here torážity.
Okay. Api, although,
itihāsaiḥ,
by evidences from the histories,
by evidences from the histories,
not,
not
abudhyata,
abudhyata,
satisfied, śucārpitaḥ,
śucārpitaḥ,
distressed.
distressed.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Swami, Śrīla Prabhupada. Translation: King Yudhiṣṭhira, who was much aggrieved, could not be convinced, despite instructions by great sages, headed by Vyāsa and the Lord Kṛṣṇa Himself, the performer of superhuman feats, and despite all historical evidence. Purport: the pious King Yudhiṣṭhira was mortified. That means he was really sad because of the mass massacre of human beings in the Battle of Kurukṣetra, especially on his account. Duryodhana was there on the throne, and he was doing well in his administration. And in one sense, there was no need for fighting. But on the principle of justice, Yudhiṣṭhira was to replace him. The whole clique of politics centered around this point. And all the kings and residents of the whole world became involved in the fight between the rival brothers. Sometimes the word brother is used for cousins in Indian traditions. They'll say cousin brother. Lord Kṛṣṇa was also there on the side of King Yudhiṣṭhira. It is said in Mahabharata, Ādi-parva 20, that 640 million men were killed in the 18 days of the Battle of Kurukṣetra. That's a lot. How many residents are there in Slovenia?
2 million.
Around 2 million.
Maybe a little more.
Maybe a little more. some hundreds of thousands were missing. Oh. Practically, this was the greatest battle in the world within 5,000 years. This mass killing, simply to enthrone Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira, was too mortifying. It was too mortifying comes from mort, to die. So it's a sense of total devastation. So he tried to be convinced with evidences from histories by great sages like Vyāsa and the Lord himself that the fight was just because the cause was just. But Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira would not be satisfied, even though he was instructed by the greatest personalities of the time. Krishna is designated herein as the performer of superhuman actions, adbhuta-karmaṇā. But in this particular instance, neither he nor Vyāsa could convince King Yudhiṣṭhira. Does it mean that he, the Lord, failed to be a superhuman actor? No, certainly not. The interpretation is that the Lord, as īśvara, or the super soul, in the hearts of both King Yudhiṣṭhira and Vyāsa, performed still more superhuman action because the Lord desired it as super soul of King Yudhiṣṭhira. He did not allow the king to be convinced by the words of Vyāsa and others, including himself. It's interesting. Because he desired that the king hear instructions from the dying Bhishma-deva, who was another great devotee of the Lord. The Lord wanted that that at the last stage of his material existence, the great warrior Bhishma-deva see him, the Lord, personally, and see his beloved grandchildren. King Yudhiṣṭhira, etc., now situated on the throne, King Yudhiṣṭhira, etc. King Yudhiṣṭhira, etc., now situated on the throne, thus, oh, that's a comma. Okay, now I get it. I thought it's a period. Back up. Let's start again. The Lord wanted that at the last stage of his material existence, the great warrior Bhishma-deva see him personally and see his beloved grandchildren, including King Yudhiṣṭhira, etc., now situated on the throne, and thus pass away very peacefully. Bhishma-deva was not at all satisfied to fight against the Pandavas, who were his beloved fatherless grandchildren. But the Kshatriyas are also very stern people. Stern. What's the word for stern?
Dosledni.
Loosely.
Dosledni.
Loosely. Very stern people, and therefore he was obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because he was maintained at the expense of Duryodhana. Besides this, the Lord also desired that King Yudhiṣṭhira be pacified by the words of Bhishma-deva, so that the world could see that Bhishma-deva excelled all in knowledge, including the Lord himself. And so in Srila Prabhupada's Purport, he said this verse. Well, these verses are leading up to the next chapter, which is going to be the title, The Passing Away of Bhishma-deva, and which is going to include a very, very compact summary of Bhishma's instructions to Yudhiṣṭhira, which otherwise are found in their full form in the Mahabharata, in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is maybe it's the 12th of 18 Parvans, and it's the longest. It's a very long section of the Mahabharata. So Bhishma-deva speaks for a long time, according to the Mahabharata, and he gives all kinds of instructions about varna, about ashrama, about all different aspects of dharma. And you could say the Mahabharata as a whole is addressing the question, what is dharma? And some scholars have said it addresses the question and it never actually answers the question, because dharma is mysterious. And of course, Krishna says at the end of the Gita, which is in the Mahabharata, what does he say? Sarva-dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. So he could say that's the conclusion, which is kind of slipped in. It's hidden right in the middle, you could say, Chaitanya, of Mahabharata. What's interesting here, I think, specifically in this verse, is the implication that Vyasa and Krishna, Vyasa being an avatar of Krishna, Krishna being Krishna, seem to be unable, they seem to be less than all-powerful. Krishna, who is adbhuta-karmaṇā, who does wonderful activities, one would expect, as Prabhupada is saying in the Purport, what's wrong with Krishna? Even Krishna is not able to convince Yudhiṣṭhira. And Vyasa is the assembler, the compiler of the Mahabharata. It's interesting, that Vyasa is understood as the compiler of the Mahabharata, and he also plays an important role in the Mahabharata. He's actually telling a story about himself in the Mahabharata, because Vyasa is parenting some very significant children. Who is he parenting in the Mahabharata? You know? Yes, Vichitravirya. Pandu, yes. Yes, Dhritarashtra and Vidura. Yes, and Śucā. Śucā is by a different mother. But yes, he fathers these three children by wives of Vichitravirya. And they are so horrified by him. He's been sent to substitute for Vichitravirya, who has died young, sent by Vyasa's mother to father children, and he's a sadhu. He lives in a cave he looks quite wild, apparently. And so when he comes to meet, let's see, there's Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. These are the three wives. So he meets one of them, I forget which, and she turns pale. Just seeing Vyasa, she's like, ah. She turns pale. And as a result, her son is Pandu. Pandu means pale. And so, and as it happens, that's another story, he also dies young. And then when the next wife of Vichitravirya, a widow of Vichitravirya, meets Vyasa, what does she do? She closes her eyes. It's like, oh no, why me? These poor young ladies. And so Vyasa says, okay, your son is going to be born blind. Whether that's a curse because he's unhappy that she closed her eyes, or because he's just saying, this is the destiny, that's not clear. In any case, Dhritarashtra is born blind. And then the third, I think it's Ambika, Ambika's, when she's supposed to again meet Vyasa, she makes an arrangement with her servant, young lady who is a servant. She is of a lower caste, of a lower jati, and thus Vidura is born. And Vidura is considered a Shudra because of this. So there's these three brothers. In any case, we won't go into all this complexity. I'll just say that, this I think is a significant point of this verse. Vyāsa-ādyaiḥ, īśvarehājñaiḥ, kṛṣṇenādbhuta-karmaṇā, prabodhito api itihāsair, nābudhyata, śucā, nābudhyata, not satisfied, not convinced. Yudhiṣṭhira is not convinced. Have you ever experienced sometimes someone wants to convince you of something and you're not? Never. All the time. Yeah. So we may also sometimes feel that from, within our culture of Krishna consciousness. Yes, there's Shastra, yes, the sadhus, yes, even the guru is telling serve Krishna, but sometimes we feel like, something says, no, not convinced, not abudhyata. So it may take someone, and I think here I want to make a point. We want to keep our ears open for whoever can convince us to serve Krishna. Krishna can speak through anyone. Anyone can say something where we kind of go, oh, yes, now I get it. So a lot of what we do, reading Shastra, hearing Shastra, discussing sadhu Shastra, Guru Vakya, Rida, all of this is it helps, it prepares, it gives us the grounding. And then someone may come and say a word where we understand, now I get it. Now it all makes sense. What was kind of not making so much sense, now it all makes sense. So we want to keep our ears open for that. What do you think? Is that a good idea? You're not convinced. What do you think? What do you think, Sundar Gopal? Is that a good idea?
I think it is.
Huh?
I think it is.
Yes. Okay. What do you think, Abid? Go on.
I'm convinced.
You're convinced. Okay. Hare Krishna. If you're convinced, then we're all convinced. Suddenly there was silence. Okay. Okay, briefly, because we're having Harinam retreats. What do we call it exactly? No, I mean the
Holy Name Festival.
Holy Name Festival. Okay. So I thought, let us read a bit. Who do we think of when we think of chanting Hare Krishna Japa?
Haridas.
Haridas Thakur, exactly. Haridas Thakur, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki. So I thought, let's read a little from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, shall we? In which Haridas Thakur is glorified. Yes? No?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Vaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Vaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Vaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Vaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Vaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Vaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
In Antya-lila, chapter 3 of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, called The Glories of Haridas Thakur, there are several episodes, most of them except the beginning part, focused on indeed the activities, the glories of Haridas. And in the first part of these, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks Haridas Thakur a question. It's an interesting question. He's asking, and it's interesting that he's asking Haridas for two reasons. What is the question? The question is, how can the Yavanas be saved? He specifically mentions Yavana. Yavana is the Bengali word for, literally, for Turkish people, people from Turkey. But it has a broader sense. It essentially means the people from outside of India and essentially the people who are Muslim, who follow Islam, because for the non-Muslims in India, especially at this time that we're reading, Muslims were considered almost like a different species. They were considered so completely outside of what we often would call Vedic culture. But of course they were also the rulers at this time. Nawab Hussain Shah was the ruler in Bengal at the time. But they were considered so fallen. And so the question for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a Brahmin, he's born in a Brahmin family, how can they be saved? And Haridas Thakur says, no worries. He reassures him that they will be saved despite themselves, in a sense. And how will that happen? It'll happen because sometimes they will say an expression in apparently Arabic. And what is that expression? Haram. Haram, which can mean, oh, horrible. Or it can mean forbidden. And apparently it can also mean a wild pig. But apparently sometimes they would exclaim, Haram, like as an expression of disgust. And what Haridas Thakur is saying is, they're saying the name Rama. And not only that, they are saying Ha Rama, and Ha, in our tradition we understand, is an exclamation, a way of addressing, O Lord, Ha Gauranga, Ha Nityananda. It's Ha Rama. So they're saying Ha Rama. They're going to be over. And then he gives shastric support for what he's saying. Now, I said that it's interesting for two reasons that Mahaprabhu asks him. One reason is that he's obviously seeing Haridas Thakur as an authority on the subject. Why is he an authority? Well, one reason could be that what does Haridas do all the time? He chants Hare Krishna, like day and night and day and night. That's what he does. So you can imagine if Mukunda was dozing off right now, if he would actually be chanting Hare Krishna day and night. Imagine that. Then we might all want to consult with him. Isn't it? What is it about this chanting that absorbs you so much? Right? Yeah. So Haridas was like that. But also it's interesting because what is Haridas's understood to be his background? He's Muslim. Now there's different theories about this. One is he was born in a Muslim family. He was he lost his parents, and he was adopted by Hindus or something like this. Another theory, one scholar suggests that actually he was a Muslim and he remained. He was always a Muslim. He's chanting Hare Krishna because he likes this name or these names of God. In the Islamic tradition, they have 99 names. And he liked Hare Krishna. And they have a practice of chanting names. It's called zikr. It's a kind of meditational repetition of names in Sufi traditions. So he never became a a Hindu. He never became a Vaishnava. He was a Muslim peer, P-I-R, is like a sadhu in their tradition. That's one theory. In any case, he's being asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how can we save the Muslims, the Yavanas? And Haridas is qualified to answer that because that's his background. He knows from his own experience, and he also knows the language. So when he says Haram, they say Haram, don't worry about it, they'll be fine. And then, just briefly, and then we can go on. Then Lord Chaitanya asks, let's see, he says, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, what we just discussed from Haridas Thakur, the happiness within his heart increased. But, as a matter of course, he still inquired further. As a matter of course. Okay. In any case, he asks further. He says, Vikti bahujiva stavara jangama iha shavar ki prakare hayire mochana. On this earth there are many living entities, the Lord said, some moving and some not moving. What will happen to the trees, plants, insects, and other living entities? How will they be delivered from material bondage? Haridasa kahe Prabhu Shri Kripa Tomar Stavara Jangama Age Koriyach Nistar. Haridas Thakur replied, my dear Lord, the deliverance of all moving and non-moving living entities takes place only by your mercy. You have already granted this mercy and delivered them. So Haridas is, okay, here's Lord Chaitanya. He's asking, how can everyone be saved? How can all living entities be saved? And Haridas is saying, you've already done it. You've already done it. He says in the next verse, Tumi je koriyacho e ucha shankirtan shavara jangamer she hoyato shravan. You have loudly chanted ucha sankirtan, the Hare Krishna mantra, and everyone moving or not moving has benefited by hearing it. And then he reminds Lord Chaitanya that when Lord Chaitanya had gone to Vrindavan through the forest of Charikanda, he had inspired the elephants and the tigers and the deer to chant and even to dance, and even, according to Krishna Das Kaviraj, to embrace each other and to kiss each other. That's what it says. Hard to imagine. And this is, it's said that Balabhadra Bhattacharya was the witness, and he informs later about this. You know what happened in France? You wouldn't believe it. So all of this is now being reminded by Haridas. He's saying, look what you have done. You have actually delivered them.
Which text? Sorry, which text are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, this is chapter 3, and then we just referred to verse 70. 70. Yeah. I didn't read it though. 70. My Lord, the moving entities who have heard your loud sankirtan have already been delivered from bondage due to the bondage to the material world, And then after the non-moving living entities, like trees, hear it, there is an echo. Do you want to hear what he says next? What is this about echo? Pratidhani nahe shekoraye kirtana tomar kripar e okata kotana akatya katana. Actually, however, it is not an echo. How do you say echo in Slovenian?
Odmev.
Od?
Odmev.
Odmev. Odmev, nay. Actually, however, it is not an odmev. It is the kirtan of the non-moving living entities. All this, although inconceivable, is possible by your mercy. Tomar kripar e akatya katana. So we know the word kata, Krishna kata. Kata can mean just a story, and katana can mean narrating, telling a story. And akatya would mean cannot be told, cannot be narrated. So this is a narration that can't be told, literally, which Prabhupada translates as inconceivable, but tomar kripar, kripa, by your mercy, it's possible. So this is what we are participating in, the loud Sankirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's nice to meditate like this. We're chanting not only for ourselves, we're chanting for everyone, whether they appreciate it, whether they outwardly appreciate it or not. They may see us and hear us, and they may go, "Ha, Rama." But something will stay with them. They will hear Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Oh, those Krishnas. Oh no, those Krishnas. So they're thinking, that makes them remember Krishna. And for ourselves, of course, we go on chanting, and we have the good fortune of, in this way, realizing Satyam, Satyam, Punar Satyam, Hariname Kevalam. Abrahma Stambhaparyantam Sarva Maya Mayam Jagat Satyam Satyam Punar Satyam Hariname Kevalam. Abrahma, all from Brahmaloka, Stambha Paryantam means up to the grass, or down to the grass. Or the other way around, from the grass up to Lord Brahma. Sarva Maya, Maya. Jagat. This whole Jagat, this whole universe, is constituted, Maya with short A's, it means constituted, made up of the substance. What's the substance of the universe? Jagat. It's Maya. With long A, it's all Maya. So, Abrahma Stambhaparyantam Sarva Maya Maya Jagat. That's the bad news. Then comes the good news. Satyam, Satyam, Punar Satyam. What means Satyam?
Truth.
Yeah, truth. That which is real, Sat. That which exists. Satyam, Satyam, Punar Satyam, Harinama Eva Kevalam. Yes, just by chanting Harinama, Harinama Harinama eva kevalam. Kevalam means only. Kalo na asti eva, there is no other. Kalo, in Kali, kalo nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva. Gati, what is gati?
Pathway.
A pathway, it can also mean the goal, or the means of getting to the goal. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. Gatir anyata. Anyata means no other. Anya, na anyata. Gatir anyata. Otherwise, there's nothing else. So, now Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Are you convinced by him? That's the question. Yes? Okay. So even Krishna and Vyasa could not convince Yudhiṣṭhira. But as Prabhupada explains, it's because he didn't want to, they didn't want, or Krishna as Super Soul wanted that Bhishmadev convinces Yudhiṣṭhira that what he had done was right, was necessary. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Charitamrita ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Gaur Prema, Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Gaur Prema. Thanks.
Shri Krishna Kshetra Swami ki jai.